anything over here yet.
Yeah, now we are.
There we go.
Yep. We're live.
It does say it. Is it going to say the full my name the whole time? Oh gosh.
That's great.
Come on, man. Wake up. There it is.
Shall we get started?
Can you guys hear us? Oh yeah, now we're getting, I gotta mute my thing.
Not mute your laptop.
Not in Arizona. They alive. Yes, we are, Frank. We're live. Okay. Welcome everybody. Looks like we might have a little bit of a lag on our part, but I'm gonna roll with it.
Audio come through okay?
Can everybody hear us? Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, it's been a little while. It's good to see everybody. I'm supposed to be looking over here, just looking at the computer monitor or Cody. You guys get to meet Cody today. It's a big day. Got that thing with the Russian mob cleared up so we can put his face on there. So, I'm Ted, also apparently known as Drew Carey around here. It's great to have you back. I'm in marketing here at Inergy. Jared is our president. Jared, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jared. I've been with the company since the beginning. Kind of been around to watch it grow from a small operation of 3 people in a garage to a team of about 30 people here in East Idaho now. So it's been a fun ride.
Yep. So we are 2 plus Cody 3 of about 30 people based here. And I just want to say we love our team. Literally everybody on our team is like totally invested in what we do, and that's a rare thing to have at a place of work. And so I'm grateful for that. And so what are we trying to do? Let me give you a little bit of an intro to, if you haven't heard it or if we haven't expressed it well enough yet. We are trying to bring renewable and portable power to people who need it, no matter who they are, where they are, and when they need it. So it might sound cheesy, but we really believe that every person on earth, every one of you, every one of us, everybody out there has amazing potential, and everyone deserves an opportunity to reach that potential. And see ya. That's Amber.
Bye.
She rocks.
Bye, guys.
She's one of those totally invested people.
I don't know about that.
She has the best laugh in the world. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have said that.
No,
she's
good.
awesome. So where I was going with that, we believe everybody should have the right or the ability to reach that potential, and we know that power is one of the basic ingredients you need to reach your potential, to make your life a little bit better. And we don't care who you are, what station in life you are in, we want to bring power to you. So that's why we do what we do. And before we jump into our questions really fast, one of those people that we talked about, today was her last day. And maybe, Jared, you're the boss around here. And why don't you, do you want to say anything about Christy?
Yeah, for sure. So today's Christy's last day. Her husband got a job in a different part of Idaho, so they're moving to North Idaho. And she was in our accounting department. She was an administrative assistant, and she's been a core member of our team. And today was her last day, so we're gonna miss her tremendously as her family moves to northern Idaho. But we wish her all the best, and the door's always open. So.
Yep. Thanks, Christy. All right, so we're gonna jump right into questions, and we've got some that have built up over the last couple of weeks. We're gonna go through some of those, and we're gonna be pulling obviously from the live chats. So be patient with us. We're gonna try to get through as much as we can in about an hour. So first, could you use the home integration switch to run a 220 volt well pump? From the live chats.
No.
Yeah, this is a 110, 120 volt system. 150. Yeah, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it will not run a 220 volt well pump. And that answers one of the next questions. Can the Flex support 220? The Flex is not a 220 volt system at this time. So, any other important information to answer there?
No, that kind of goes into the next one. Will you create an international compatible system? That's going to be referencing the 220 volt standard that a lot of the rest of the world uses. That's kind of the beauty of our product with the modular platform.
One of the next questions
is that we can just swap out the power console for a 220 volt version later and have that capability. So that is in the roadmap. We have not rolled it out yet, but we will be opening up that opportunity soon. So more on that to come. And that's again a 220 volt version more for the international markets. Domestically, a 220 to 240 volt system would be powering things that are beyond the capability of a Flex, like an oven, an electric oven, an electric dryer, something like that. Those are 220 volt appliances that are just frankly beyond the scope of a product like this. But the 220 volt version will be more for international markets, where that's the voltage standard for all their appliances.
Yeah, those devices are drawing thousands and thousands of watts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds like we got the, thanks Ricky. It sounds like we got the echo solved, so that's awesome. All right, let's, we got some observant people here. Why would I buy a solar generator? I'm putting generator in quotes. This is how the person wrote the question. Don't kill me. Just kidding. Why would I buy a solar generator when I can buy a gas generator with the same amount of output for a lot less? Well, I'm going to start out, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jared because he's really good at this question. A gas generator, it does output a lot of power. It can output a lot of power depending on the model you have. But there are other costs. You need to look at the total cost of ownership on these things over time. And with that, Jared, I set the table.
Yeah, great question. So side-by-side comparison, your dollar is going to go a lot further in a fuel-based generator. For sure, you'll be able to get something that outputs more power for less money up front, but there's a lot more maintenance involved. There's regular oil changes, spark plugs, fuel that needs to be stabilized, fuel that needs to be changed. The availability of fuel in a power outage scenario is also really limited. In fact, we've actually sold some of our products into medical offices, like dental offices or outpatient care medical facilities, because gas or fuel-based generators oftentimes just weren't maintained, and when a power outage came around, they weren't prepared for that. So having something that has power from the sun gives you more flexibility. So in terms of the long game, you have less maintenance, less residual cost, and you have an unlimited supply of power from the sun at all times. So it's just sort of a difference in approach. If you're really looking for something that will give you an opportunity to have power off-grid at all times, whether there's power outage or not, we really believe that a source like ours is the best. But if you're looking for something more for, gross amount of power output, I would probably go with a fuel-based generator. We just don't have the output capability of like a 4,000, 5,000 watt, type situation. Those are better reserved for fuel-based generators. So these have their place. It's just a difference in approach.
Yep. Awesome. All right, let's jump into some of the questions coming in on. I've got a few on Facebook that I'll do. Let's see. We've answered this before, but let's answer it. Why shouldn't you keep it plugged in 24/7?
That's a good one,
Bob. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Bob. So any lithium-ion battery is very different from a lead-acid battery, or even alkaline batteries for that matter. Lead-acid batteries really do need to be stored at a full voltage, fully charged, whereas a lithium-ion battery really doesn't. It's not great for that battery to be stored at the highest state of charge, the highest voltage. That actually does decrease your life expectancy pretty dramatically. So over the course of a full year, I've seen studies cited that show that if you have your lithium battery plugged in at full state of charge for a full year, you could lose up to 20% of your capacity in just 1 year. Lithium batteries really just are intolerant of overcharge, so they don't have that same charge algorithm like a lead acid battery would have, and they're just not as they don't enjoy being charged fully for long duration. So I would say the best ideal use case for your batteries is to have that thing stored at like a 50% state of charge, somewhere around there. If you have disaster that you want to be prepared for, like hurricane season is just around the corner, fire season in California. For a situation like that, I think it makes sense to store it at a full charge for maybe shorter durations, say 2 to 3 months, something around that region. But ongoing, I would not do that as a standard.
Yeah.
And that's with any lithium battery, by the way. That's not specific to the battery that we chose. That's any lithium battery.
Yeah. And the great thing is, during those times, if you have solar is a very quick way to charge it up, and you get a lot of sun in California. So,
I've got a question on YouTube if you wouldn't mind. So, Mark, you actually asked this question right when we got started. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, but thanks for the question, Mark. He said, why have you chosen to base your battery technology on lithium ion versus lithium iron phosphate? What are the advantages and disadvantages of each? So we've actually got this question quite a few times through our call center, through emails in. This is a pretty common one that comes in our live feeds. That's a really good question. We're choosing to use lithium NMC. The term lithium ion is a blanket term for any lithium chemistry battery. So within that, there's going to be 10 to 11, maybe even 12 different flavors, if you will, of lithium chemistries. The two biggest ones are lithium NMC and lithium iron phosphate. That's the two that the most topical right now. Lithium NMC is what we have chosen. That's lithium nickel manganese cobalt. We selected that battery because it's widely used in the automotive industry. So the economies of scale are fantastic on that battery, which makes it a very, very compelling battery at a good price point that makes it, great for this type of a use. Number one. Number two, when it comes down to power density, that's where the real benefits shine on lithium NMC. Lithium iron phosphate has about half the power density that lithium iron phosphate does, which means for the same battery capacity, you're going to be double the weight with lithium iron phosphate. Now, it is a little bit less expensive of a battery chemistry, so that's kind of intriguing for it. But our whole design principle is around being as portable, lightweight as possible. So for that reason, we chose lithium NMC with that higher power density. Obviously, it's got a fantastic track record in the automotive industry for safety, longevity, all those kinds of things that we're really looking for in a product like this. So it's just a difference in approach again. Lithium iron phosphate batteries do have noted advantages as well. They're fantastic chemistry. We just chose to go this more lightweight and portable route.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Now we had some comments just saying that we were a little bit quiet. Can you hear us better? I did move the mic a little bit.
Just send this thing all the way up.
Yeah. Bring it closer. There we go.
That should be better, right?
You can still hear us? Okay. All right. We got a lot of good questions here. So I am just going to jump in there. Thank you, Tom Dunich. That's a cool comment. We appreciate you guys. Feels like we're kind of like we're making friends on these live streams. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Start to recognize names and stuff. Does Jared make good coffee? Is that why the staff are so happy?
I make garbage coffee. Yeah. My coffee is garbage. I don't personally drink coffee. I have brewed it a few times, and everybody that I've brewed it for said it's terrible. So I totally suck at it. You would not want any of my coffee.
Yeah. I'm not very good at it either. I make a mean cup of Creo brew, though, if you know what that is. Okay, so do you have carrying bags for the Ascent 100 folding panels?
I'll be right back.
Yeah. Jared's taking a quick break. Should have thought to bring that over there. There it is. That is the carrying bag for the Ascent. Just it's nice and rigid. It's pretty sweet, actually. Perfect. Okay. Oh, I should have told Amber. Rain asked her for thanked her for helping her. Philip Scott is asking if we're shipping out his order this week. We're gonna check. We'll check on that order and we'll get back to you, depending on what you ordered. Okay, man, there's so... Show us that good looking piece of metal behind you. All in due time. Let's see. What data points does the monitor show, and can you interact with the panel display? So, shows everything that you had. You jump in and stop me at any time, but it's going to show the net input or output. So that's if you're charging with solar and you're discharging from the inverter or from DC, it's going to show what the net of that is. It's also going to show the amount of charge coming in. It's going to show the voltage of the battery. It's going to show the state of charge of the battery, both in a gauge format and in watts, watt hours, I should say. What did I miss?
Estimated runtime.
Estimated runtime.
That's been a big ask that we've had for a while.
That's
we've
going to
got
be
that done.
That's going to be awesome to have. So yes, and it's a nice looking screen. I like this screen a little bit better than the ones we had before. When will the transfer station be available? I believe it's coming in we're getting them in a couple weeks, aren't we?
Yeah. So it's going to be kind of an ongoing thing.
True.
As you've probably seen in many of like sporting goods stores, department stores, grocery stores even, supply is just running slim because of the coronavirus and the supply chain disruptions that's caused. So we will be kind of revolving around somewhere around usually a 2 to 3, maybe even a 4-week lead time on those. But we are accepting orders for them right now. So if you wanted to get one, you could get your order in now and we'd ship it out to you. And actually the estimated arrival time is on the website. And that kind of prompts another question. We get this every live stream, happy to answer it every time. And I think it's a really appropriate question to get relating to supply chain. So the question that Rob asked over on YouTube was, you probably got that on Facebook too already.
I'm sure we do.
Is delivery still on pace for October? Yes. We don't have anything right now that looks like that's going to be disrupted. We will be sharing information with you as readily as it comes available because in a coronavirus-riddled world, supply chains are difficult to anticipate. As of right now today, it looks like we're still on track for October, and we'll keep you tuned if that changes.
Okay. Can you power an RV with a Flex? And Victor is also asking, I'm taking my RV to Europe in February. Can you talk about this scenario? 2 batteries, Flexi DC. I love that. Flexi. And with a 1500 watt inverter. So 2 batteries with a 1500 watt inverter. And I'm wondering if he's thinking of a DC, Flex DC, and a 1500 watt inverter separate. Maybe Victor, if you could give us a little more detail. Are you talking about the Flex DC power station with 2 batteries, and then some kind of extra inverter, like a? Is there a DC to DC?
I'm guessing he's probably talking about the Flex AC, the Flex 1500, because it's got AC and DC both.
So Victor, if you could just let us know if you're talking about the Flex 1500 power station or the Flex DC power station, and what you want to power as far as DC devices versus AC devices, and we'll watch for it in here, and we'll come back to your question. Generally, powering an RV with a Flex. I power my RV with a Flex. Well, with an Apex. I will power it with a Flex. I have a 30-foot travel trailer. I power everything with my Apex hooked up to solar panels, except for my microwave and my AC unit. And so when I'm off-grid camping, like boondocking with my trailer, I put the panels out. I hook up the RV shore power cord to the NEMA TTR30 plug on the Apex, and it powers everything in my trailer except for the really heavy draw items, and it works great. Even runs my propane furnace. So yes, if you except for like an AC unit or a microwave. What is the cigarette lighter plug rated? Amps, watts?
Pull the spec on that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I believe that's on our website.
Yeah,
I believe it's 10 amps.
I think it's
per socket.
You're right. It's 10 amps per socket. Regulated DC, 13.8 volts.
Yes.
So,
So we had an interesting question over on YouTube. I'm gonna
Yeah,
answer.
perfect.
Clay asked the question. Flex question: is there an auto off feature? I asked because I have some use cases of running small 12 volt and USB devices for multiple days that draw very little power. A user settable option would be ideal. So I think what he's looking for there is kind of like an auto off feature where we say turn off after 5 days, turn off after 7 days, something of that nature. Answer that question: no, the Flex does not have that innately in it, but that can be accomplished using AC or DC timers. We actually have had quite a few customers over the years that have used AC timers to extend the runtime of their refrigerators or their chest freezers. There we go.
Yeah.
Chest freezers for a much longer duration than what they normally would by using timers. So that's a great way to extend it, and it does also help you, get that timer to turn it off when you no longer need it. So
Yeah. Andrew, man, I'm sorry if I'm not going to say your name right. Buchin. No, you rock, first of all. And I think we would love to see a picture of you to get your Flex and install EMP Shield on it. Stay tuned on that one from us. Let's see. What's the approximate date we can showcase this beauty? Answer coming. Let's see how long.
I'm gonna answer one on YouTube.
Yeah, go for it.
So Nathan McCluskey, I believe is how you say that on YouTube. He said, so do you recommend the Flex for daily van use if you don't recommend charging fully? How do you control charging if you were doing so via solar? Great question. In terms of cycling it daily, no problem at all. In fact, right now under the pre-order, we actually have a 10-year no BS battery warranty. That's an outstanding opportunity. If you were to exhaust the cycle life of a Flex battery and you bought this during or put a deposit down during the pre-sale, you actually get that battery taken care of completely free. As long as it's not neglected or abused, we cover that battery for free. So to kind of go back to your question, Nathan, that's totally fine to recharge it, cycle it daily. That's not an issue at all. In fact, with this modular design, it's a lot better for that. The obstacle that we had with the Kodiak and the Apex, were those systems were just not designed to be a primary constant daily use source of power. The Flex is much more flexible. I know that sounds kind of like a pun. It's unintentional. But because those batteries come off so easily, it's so much easier to use these systems repetitively and get a long lifespan out of them. With an Apex, or a Kodiak, it was all in one cabinet. Much harder to service, much harder to sort of maintain. So from that perspective, the Flex platform is much superior to that. That makes it great for daily use. So I would have no reservations about offering that up for daily use, but also recognize that under daily use, we wouldn't expect this thing to work daily use for 20 plus years. It's not that kind of a system. That said, for van life, I think this is a perfect solution for that. We've actually got a huge amount of customers in that world right now. We have influencers that have like our stuff that use it for that. We've got a really cool guy on Instagram called the Rough Bus that has built in our systems to his. It's a schoolie build, actually. It's really cool. You should check it out on Instagram.
At Rough Bus. I think there's an underscore between Rough, RUFF_bus.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good guy.
So how do you control the charging if you're doing so via solar? It will self-regulate. So if you're using it on a daily basis, again, not a real issue. I just wouldn't recommend leaving it charged fully at a 100% for extended periods of storage. That's probably the right way to say that. I would not recommend storing it at a 100% state of charge for long durations. You're using it all the time, that's no problem at all. Think of it kind of like a battery being a small canister that holds pressure. Electricity kind of acts like pressure. So when you have that thing fully charged, that's at the maximum pressure that cylinder can take, which is why it's not the best idea to store that at a 100% state of charge. If you're cycling it and it's going up and down, that's no problem at all. You're working your battery out, no problems there at all.
Also, don't store it. Don't let it get down to zero for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Lithium does not like that. It'll basically ruin the battery. Okay. Let's see. So you hit on part of the. I'm going to ask this one now because you just hit on part of it. What are some incentives for customers who partake in the pre-sale? Yeah. So you talked about the no BS warranty. We are also currently accepting deposits in the amount of 20% of the total purchase price, and so you can save your place in line with only 20% of the ultimate cost of your system. So that's a pretty sweet opportunity. You can spread that out, and you don't have to lay out a bunch of money. Neither of those are going to be around forever, and so it's a great time for even during the pre-sale. They're not going to last the duration of the pre-sale. So just wanted to put that out there. This is probably a good time. Last live stream we got a bunch of questions. Well, we got one question from Andrew Bradford, and Andrew was asking about wind turbines that you can use with the Flex. And Jared did a bunch of research. Well, I'll let you say it.
Yeah, Andrew, I hope if you're on, that's awesome. If not, I wish you were, because I'm finally answering your question after I don't know what that's been, a month of going back and forth.
Yeah, it was.
So it's been a lot. But to answer that question, jump right in. Wind turbines require a different charge controller type. Now, the Flex does have a solar power charge controller. The way that these things charge is radically different, and it does require essentially a diversion load, which we do not have available on the Flex. At a later date, I think it's a really interesting proposition to entertain wind turbine charging. The way that the system is right now today, it will not work on it, but we've had so much response from that I think it's worth exploring in the future. I can't make any promises, obviously, but as it sits right now, no, we can't recommend a wind turbine charging with the Flex system. However, in the future, it does. I think it's worth interesting. It's worth exploring in more detail. So,
okay, all right. Danny Borden's asking, can you give an example of neglect or abuse to a battery that would void the warranty?
Yeah, easy one. So in our actually, we should probably link to the user manual for the Apex and come out with our Flex one here very soon. Any lithium battery you don't want to store in super hot or super cold temperatures. We have an operating range that we recommend. I believe it's nothing in excess of 130 Fahrenheit, I believe, and then no colder than, I believe, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. You really don't want to store a lithium battery at those kind of temperatures. That's hard on them. Leaving it discharged fully under storage for a very long time, that's another way to abuse a battery. Finding a way to alter it, open that case up, modify it, charge it at a rate that exceeds what we suggest. An example of that with a Flex would be we recommend that you only tie in one MPPT supercharger to one battery. So if you have two superchargers with one battery, that's going to be charging that thing much too fast. That could damage the battery. That would be an abuse situation. Yeah. Neglect is probably a little bit more likely, and that would be that situation of storing it at too low of a voltage and expecting that battery to come back to life. So,
yeah. I just got to say to Michael Buck, hey, Michael, it's so funny to see you join on. Michael was part of my marketing team when I was at Little Giant Ladders.
Oh, very cool.
He's a video production wizard. Good job, Michael. Okay, my normal size kitchen fridge pulls 180 watts at about 25% duty cycle with no panels or input to the box. It will run. Oh, that wasn't a question. He's Matt is saying that it will run for about 20 hours. That sounds like pretty good, Matt. Thanks, man. That's a good use case. And that's a great way to that's a great segue to bring up when talking about refrigerators and freezers. There's a wide variety of sizes. Really old refrigerators can be extremely inefficient. The new ones can be really inefficient. Really efficient. And so it's gonna range a lot. And when we try to be really conservative when we give you expectations of run times. And so that's a perfect example of how to figure out how long something's going to run. Actually try it. So thank you. All right, let's see.
I'm going to hop on here. So we got another question. WAPI Project Services. That's going to be Orlando. Hey Orlando, good to see you on here again. He asked, will the Flex platform eventually have a remote monitoring system? To be determined. I can't really weigh in yes or no on that one, unfortunately, at this point. I'd love to, but I can't. We just don't know quite yet what the future is going to look like for that. So unfortunately, can't really say yes or no on that one.
Yeah. James, regarding your question about a battery on a Kodiak, give us a call. We'll reply in the comments with the number to give us a call, and we'll figure it out with you. James Nalesnik. I should be specific because there's probably more than one James on here. Okay, Karen Lukowitz is asking MPPT for each add-on battery, or one for how many batteries? So I'm gonna assume you're talking about the MPPT supercharger. The Flex power consoles each have a 90 amp MPPT charge controller inside of them. The supercharger has 2 more of those 90 amp MPPTs inside of them, and you can use one supercharger for every battery you add to a stack. You don't want to use more than one, and so what that is saying is you can have you can be charging the full capacity of the MPPT in your power console, or and you can be using the 2 MPPTs, so you can have 3 strings of panels at up to 90 volts each going into one battery, and then after that, if you want to add another supercharger, you need to add another battery, so 1 to 1. That's probably clear as mud, but I think I said that correctly.
You got it.
All right. Okay. Let's see.
Brad. So Brad on YouTube, I'm going to answer one. Brad says, if I want to store a battery long-term at half charge, how long will it last? Do I need to keep checking on it every so often? That's a really good question. It will last a very, very long time. We would recommend at least checking on your battery level once every 6 months or so to make sure it's still it's not at a very low state of charge. The self-discharge rate on these batteries, because they're a full disconnect when the system is turned off, it should retain that charge for a couple of years. In fact, we're not gonna rate it that way, obviously, because people will ride that into the sunset. But it should have no problem, holding that power for a very, very long amount of time. Just simply checking on that battery every 6 months or so at a 50% state of charge. Make sure it's up over, I would say, 20%. That's going to be a great way to go.
Cool. All right, Richard Polowicz. Sorry, I think that's pretty good. Okay, how long to charge 2 batteries with the main control unit? So, depends on how you're charging it.
Yeah, if you go from max solar input, you're going to be about 7 hours.
Yeah, if you're charging it from the standard wall charger, you're going to be about a day.
Yeah, it's like
22 to 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the quick wall charger, 225 watts.
Yeah, I would say 12 to 14 hours.
Yeah,
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Something like that. If you throw on solar panels with, and if you have the full string of solar panels, and then you add a supercharger with 2 additional strings of solar panels up to 90 volts, you could charge it in as fast as 2 hours. Roughly, maybe a little bit more than 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Solar rules, guys.
So I've got a series of great questions
Okay.
from Brian Langford over on YouTube. He says, for someone who is not an electrical engineer, how can I know that the unit will work when I need it to? Mm-hmm. In times past, I've pulled out my Goal Zero power bank only to find that it can't power what I need it to power. Then finding out that I blew a fuse trying to power it. Something like this is a huge investment. I need to know that it will work when it matters most, not fail on me because I was not aware of volts, watts, or amps requirements. Brian,
wow,
that is the best question that I've seen in a while.
I think
so. Yeah,
I think you should probably get something.
Yeah, let's give one of those. We got a 12 volt inverter. We'll send it to you for free.
Yeah.
It's a 300 watt 12 volt inverter. You're gonna love it. It's a really cool product.
Yeah.
Keep it in your vehicle. It's got a USB port on it. It's a great product.
What's his full name?
Brian Langford. If you want to write that down.
Yeah, I will.
All right. So to answer your question, Brian, that probably is the #1 thing that we wish we could tell every customer that we talk to. The best way to answer that, first of all, is you have to kind of become aware of how power works with the devices you want to power. There's not really a better way to say that. So if you look at the devices that you really want to power, look on the back of them by the power cord. there's going to be a rating in watts. You'll want to look at that. You really have to become familiar. I know that's inconvenient, but that's the best way to do this. Look at its power consumption in watts. If it's under 1500 watts, we've got your back. That we'll be able to run that thing. If it's in excess of that, it's out of reach of our system. But you really need to do that first of all, first and foremost. Second note that I would add to that, that's exactly why we designed this product, was to help power people in emergencies or in grid down scenarios or recreationally, whatever. So I totally get what you're saying. Getting experience with your system prior to needing it, and also becoming familiar with what devices you want to run. I know that's probably not the answer you were hoping for, but it's honestly, it's the best way that I can think of to answer that. When you get a system like this, test on the various products you have, and before you decide to purchase one, look at what products you want to use and look at their wattage, their power consumption and wattage. That will give you the answer that you need.
Yeah, we're gonna be launching on our website a page that is gonna give you. It's probably the most comprehensive resource I've seen of devices and the amount of power they draw and the amount of time they will run on a Flex product. So that's going to be coming in the next week or so. So we'll announce that we'll share that on our Facebook page when that happens. Okay, here's a pretty. AJ Trebis, do you offer a veteran discount? Yes, we do. On our website, when you're in the checkout, look for the GovX link during the checkout process, and it'll do the whole process with you, and you'll get that government discount. Thank you for your service. Okay, here's a question that we've got this same question with various locations. Do we ship to Canada? Do we ship to Puerto Rico? Yeah, we got that question just today from I didn't write his name, but it's probably a good one to tackle. There's a little bit different answer for each place, but Canada?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Okay.
So, in short, I guess I don't want to go too in depth here. This is a long form answer. Because our product has lithium batteries in mass quantities, large quantities, it's regulated as a hazmat shipment. Now, hazmat shipments are extremely stringent in their requirements. It's really easy to do within the continental U.S. Outside of the continental U.S., it starts getting a lot more difficult. We've recently started exploring better options with FedEx that we're excited about. We've actually just finally piloted our first return shipment with FedEx from Puerto Rico, so we're excited to see how that goes. But essentially, if it's a battery product, a lithium battery product like the Flex is or like the Apex was or whatever, it's incredibly difficult to get those things back from areas outside the lower 48, if you will. So for that reason, we do have options to sell them to you if you want, but the uncomfortable part of that, and I just have to be totally transparent with you, the uncomfortable part about that is because it's so difficult to get those things returned for either you change your mind, you want to send it back, or if you have like a warranty claim, you have to have service, something like that. It's really difficult to get those back, so we have to make you sign a waiver that says if you purchase this thing, it's up to you as the customer to find a way to get that product shipped back to us. We've expended hundreds of hours with various shipping companies trying to find a way to get that product shipped back to us, like from Canada, from Mexico, from Switzerland one time, from Guam. I mean, people take these things all over the place. But the reality of it is, if it's a hazmat item, it's really, really hard to ship back. So we're currently exploring new opportunities with FedEx that may allow us to open up some more options. But currently, that's where we stand.
Yep. Okay. Let's see.
We do, one other quick thing I want to throw out there for Puerto Rico, though. We do have an outstanding dealer in Puerto Rico. WAPI Project Services. Orlando over there is the owner of that company and CEO. He's a fantastic guy. So for the Puerto Rican audience, we've got a great opportunity there for him to help broker a shipment. So it's very, very possible in Puerto Rico. Canada we're working on. Other countries it's a lot more difficult. So
I was just gonna throw it in the comments. How do you spell Orlando's company?
Juapi, WAPI.
Project
Services. Yep.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I've got another question. We've actually had this come in a few different places over the last couple of weeks. It's going to be Sapo Bravo from YouTube. Says, does the Flex 1500 have AC breakers or DC fuses? If so, how are they reset or replaced? This is something we're really, really excited about. They have self-resetting fuses. The way that these things work is as they heat up, if you try to pass too much current through them, the fuses will blow. Then they'll self-reset once that condition is removed, i.e. heat from too much power, and they'll reconnect. The reason that is so much better than a manual reset fuse or a circuit breaker in the traditional sense, let's say that by chance you have a refrigerator and a freezer hooked up to your Flex 1500 at the same time. Independently, while they're running, it's pretty easy to run those two products. However, if the compressor for both of those happens to kick on at the exact same time, it's going to be really, really big. A fridge or a chest freezer may only have like a running wattage, say around 60 watts, 80 watts, and then 3 times per hour that compressor kicks on. It goes all the way up to like 1200, 1400 watts, and then it drops back down to 300 watts for say 2 or 3 minutes, then it turns off and it's back to 60 watts. If both of those compressors happen to line up by happenstance at the exact same time and give you a surge that was greater than what the Flex 1500 could handle, that self-resetting circuit breaker, or self-resetting fuse rather, would open, it would disconnect, and then it would reconnect once that condition was removed. So that way in the morning you don't wake up to spoiled food. That's a really, really big perk to have. If you had a traditional circuit breaker, you'd wake up having found out that it was too much and you'd have spoiled food because you just needed to reset that circuit breaker. Ours are self-resetting fuses.
Yep. Okay. Karen Lukowitz, I need a visual to understand that setup with the Super MPPT. Karen, I'm going to take a picture of that for you on Thursday, and I'll show you exactly what it would look like, what it will look like when you have a MPPT supercharger anywhere in your stack charging with three solar arrays. So I will just hang in there. We'll get that picture up on Facebook within a week, I think. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, let's see. Julia Jones. Sorry if we didn't get you first time. There's just so many questions coming in from ones that we've had, and then we've got 2 platforms going. So, is it possible to add another inverter to handle watts higher than 1500 to 3000? So I think talking about using inverters in parallel, or is that in series? She wants to add another inverter. So basically, so that it could be a 3000 watt system.
They don't stack together.
Yeah.
They'd work independently, so they don't parallel or series connect. Our inverters don't do that. So you just have to get 2 wholly separate systems. And if you hooked both of them up to the same device at the same time, I don't think that would work very well for you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. James, I saw your question about the images, and yes, we love them, and I'm going to DM you, direct message you, that all sounds so weird, direct message you to talk to you about using some of those, because those are pretty awesome. Thank you. I love seeing how much light one little base camp can put out.
Things awesome.
Things, yeah. So, okay. Man, there's so many. I need to jump over. There's a couple of questions that came in during the week. Why is having 13.8 regulated DC important? That is a really good question, and I'm gonna take a whack at it, Jared, and you fill in where I missed. So some devices, some DC 12 volt DC power devices perform better at a voltage at or above 12 volts. And as the state of charge of your battery starts to drop, without regulated power, the output of the battery will not power your device. Say it could be like a portable refrigerator or a DC crock pot or a frying pan or any 12 volt device. And so what happens when you have regulated DC power, even though your battery voltage has dropped below the optimal level for that device, your system is still upcycling and putting out a consistent 13.8 volts. So these devices will work much better, and in some cases, without it, they'll shut off at lower voltage. Do okay?
Perfect. Nailed it.
I'm learning. Can I charge an Inergy battery? I'm letting you do this one because this is a fun one. Can I charge an Inergy battery with a Honda 2200 watt generator?
Yes, you absolutely can. There's two ways you can do it. Those generators have AC and DC outputs. If you wanted to, you could hook up either the standard wall charger, plug it right into the Flex battery, and use it that way. If you wanted to use our quick wall charger, which does it at double the speed, just over double the speed of the standard wall charger at 225 watts, you could absolutely do that. The third option, you could use the car charger as well through the 12 volt output on that generator, and that would do it as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Hopefully that answers that question.
So, all right. We are now, let's see. Oleg Karin asked, he said he pre-ordered a set with 4 Ascent panels. Should I disconnect them in series or parallel? If I connect in series, would performance of a single panel affect the overall output? And if I connect in parallel, will it be enough voltage to work with the MPPT controller? Thanks. So in series, one single panel can affect the entire string. So in the example of shading, if one panel is shaded in a series array, it can affect the entire array. That is one disadvantage of series connection, but one of the advantages of series connection is that you have higher voltage input into the charge controller, which is also gives you improved efficiency in your charging. Now, the advantage of a parallel is if one panel is shaded or one panel is underperforming, that panel does not affect the performance of the other panels. And I know there's one other benefit of parallel having to do with the amperage.
Yeah, if you could put on if you're going parallel, you could put on 500, 600, 700, 800 watts of panels in one string in parallel. You're not going to do any damage to the system, and you'll basically ensure that your charge rate is always maximized despite your solar conditions. If you've got
that higher power
in
density.
the morning, I think there's only typically, like in our area, there's only about 4 hours of peak solar production. Most of the U.S. is between 4 to maybe 6 hours of peak solar production in a day, depending on your geography. But if you have that maximized by using extra solar panels on those shoulder times, you'll make sure that you always get the fastest charge rate possible.
Okay.
So there's a great benefit there for parallel panels.
Ron, I just got to call out Ron. Thank you. He says he has the Apex and loves it. Just got 5 panels and absolutely loves it. Free power. Leave it on all the time. Thanks, Ron. We're really glad it's working out for you. So Annie Herrera here has a very good question, and I'm going to read the entire thing just to make sure that I understand it, that we understand. So Annie says, I purchased an MC4 to EC8 connector from your company. What is the maximum watts, volts, and amps that can be handled by the connector?
MC4 connectors are as far as voltage goes, that's going to be far more capable than our system, than what the Flex or the Kodiak or the Apex or whatever. It's going to be capable of much higher voltage than our systems require or max out at. The MC4 is a 30 amp maximum connector. That's going to be your limit right there, I'd say.
Okay, so here's one thing, Annie, that I think we need to. Maybe it'd be a good idea for you to call in and talk to our tech support people, our experts. But she describes her scenario here. She says, I will have the Flex 1500 system and 4 130 watt 17.5 volt 7.4 amps for each one, a total of 540 watts, 70 volts with 7.4 amps connected in series.
I can take that one. So there's a big difference here we need to talk about. So the voltage under power maximum is what you're referencing with that voltage, and the voltage that we need to be aware of is the voltage at open circuit, or the VOC. So essentially, panels have two different voltage ratings. If there's VIMP, which is voltage at power maximum essentially, and then there's VOC, voltage open circuit. For our charge controller, you want to make sure that it's no more than 90 volts open circuit, which is going to be the system that you just described is going to be too high for that. So it probably would make sense to call in and talk to our support team. You could, however, put those panels in parallel and they would work awesome. And if they're MC4 panels, that's no problem at all. There's plenty of MC4 parallel branch connectors that are available on Amazon. Lots of those things available. I would snag one of those and run that system every day.
Yeah. So, and then finally she says, can the MC4 to EC8 connector handle the charge with 10 gauge wire at a length of 45 feet?
If there's a difference there. If it depends on if it's connected in series or if it's connected in parallel.
Yeah.
If it's connected in parallel, that's going to be really pushing it. I would say no. If it's connected in series, no problem. So you want to keep that VOC under 90 volts. If you've got that done, keeping that run up there, that's going to be just fine. But you're not going to want to run 30 amps at that distance with that gauge cable. You're going to require more like, I would say 8 or maybe even 6 gauge to do that safely.
So if you already have the cable, and that length is set, you've got to be 45 feet. You might be, and again, I'd call our people, they're awesome, but you might be better served to use 3 of those 130 watt panels to stay under the 90 volts and be in series, and that distance wouldn't be a problem.
You'd still want to call in and talk to us to make sure
Okay.
that those, because that sounds like it's going to be too high of a
Okay.
series, but yeah, give
Call
us a
in.
call. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer a couple of quick questions from YouTube. Okay, Joe, we know that shipping companies lose packages. What are your policies should a package gets lost or does not arrive to its destination? You're 100% right. We do insure all of our packages, so if they get lost or stolen en route, that is covered by the carrier. We pay extra per shipment to make sure those packages are insured. So if that does happen, just call our support team up. We'll help you out easily. The very next question, I'm just going to go through some of these rapid fire. They're short answer ones. One Raz, why did you take away the 30 amp socket? So I'm assuming that one refers to the NEMA 30 TTR RV connector on the Apex and the Kodiak. Before, on those systems, each one of those 110 outlets was rated for about 10 amps, so it wasn't capable of handling the full force of the inverter. On the Flex, that is no longer the case. So that we put that RV connector on there for a convenience thing, and the funny thing is, there's never been a connector that's been so universally loved and hated as that connector. Yeah. People loved us for doing it and then hated us for doing it. It was so controversial. And the whole appeal of it was to make something that was very convenient. Yeah. And so we decided, from all the backlash we got with people thinking it should be capable of doing 30 amps through the inverter, which it can't, we decided to remove that connector. It saved us a lot of space. It was able to make that thing smaller. And on the Flex 1500, every one of those AC outlets can take the full force of the inverter at one time. There was no longer a performance benefit to having it, so we decided to have that removed. That said, if you do want to have your RV connector plugged right into the Flex 1500, we've got an adapter for it on our website. I think we're selling it for like $6 or $7. Yeah, it's really inexpensive, and that will give you that convenience that you're after.
Okay. All right. So we had another question. Hey, Zach's here. Hey, Zach. Zach Shepard just jumped on. Okay, I'm building a small. So Eunice Salazar just jumped on, and I'm building a small 20-foot RV, hoping to power just lights and small electrical fridge. Can't wait. Yeah, you're gonna have no problem at all.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect use case for this.
You're gonna love it. Okay, so we've had questions about our solar panels again. So we brought our solar panels out. One of the questions that we somebody asked, how much does the bag for the Ascent panels cost?
That comes for free.
$0.
Buy the Ascent, get the free.
I mean, you got to buy the panel first, but yeah, it comes with them. So hopefully that's a good answer for you. Just to give you guys, we're going to do a refresher because we've had some questions about the difference on the solar panels. So I will be the modeler, and Jared, do you mind?
Yeah, no problem.
So this is our solar storm panel.
All right, so this panel is a very traditional tempered glass polycrystalline solar panel with an aluminum frame. It's very standard issue, I guess you could say. Very common for what you see. It's a great way to max out your power per dollar, if you will. So the cents per watt is optimized on this thing. It's a really durable panel. It's able to take hail damage. There's no problem there. We actually have a video coming up where we're going to be abusing these things like crazy to show you what it can handle. They're very capable panel. So these panels are a great option for either getting a lot of solar power for a great value, if you will.
Yeah.
And then number two, permanent mounting. This is the very best way to do it.
Yeah.
If you want to do a semi-permanent or permanent installation, this is the panel for you.
I'm actually going to be doing a project where I'm going to be mounting some of these to my RV, and we'll make a little video about that. That'll be later this year, but it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then these are wired. These come wired for parallel connection.
Correct.
That's right. You probably mentioned that, but
I didn't actually. All right. This is another one of our panels. This is called the Lynx panel. This panel, as you can see, is incredibly thin. It is semi-flexible. You can flex this thing up to about 15 degrees before your power output drops on it. This is a great panel. It's a monocrystalline panel. So in terms of power output per surface area, it's a little bit smaller for the same power rating compared to the Storm. Not only in area, length times width, but also in thickness, obviously, with it being super thin. This panel is an outstanding panel for travel. If you want to have something that's very portable, this only weighs about 4 pounds. It's less than half the weight of a Storm panel. It is a mono panel, so it does great in low light conditions. Very portable. It's a great panel, and it is also wired in parallel. Now, the one thing that I want to call out specifically about this panel, there's a lot of folks that want to use a panel type like these because they're a little bit flexible. There's a lot of folks out there that want to mount these to the top of a van, the top of a motor home, something like that. And any kind of a panel that has a synthetic cover on it like this that's not tempered glass is just not going to live up to permanent installation needs. So and that's regardless if it's our panel, if it's somebody else's panel, that's just how this product category is. So if you want to mount a panel permanently to an RV or a motor home, it's tempting to want to use one of these panels, but we would really steer you more towards a glass panel. It's going to handle that much better than any type of a flexible panel would over the long haul. So these are great for portability. Weighs less than half what a Storm panel does. Great for recreational use, that kind of thing, or even emergency use, but not for permanent installation for sure. All right. Last panel. Okay, this is our Ascent solar panel. As you can see, it's actually folded up. It's got latches on the top here that help it unfold. I'm not gonna. It's kind of ungainly to open up on camera.
Up here, yeah.
So I'm not gonna attempt it. But that said, we've got rubberized corners here on the edge that are hard that keep it from getting the corners bent and stuff when you're off grid. So this is a great recreational panel with a kickstand built in. This is probably our top selling panel right now. This thing's amazing, and it does come with a free case. Did I miss anything?
No, it was great. You said in series, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
That one is in series
with MC4 connectors. So,
and then akin to that, there's actually several customers several people on YouTube that asked questions kind of akin to that. They said, this is Martin. Does Inergy accept generic solar panels, or do you have to use the ones by Inergy?
No, you do not.
He's right.
It does accept them. No, you do not have to use the ones provided by Inergy.
Yeah, if you want to buy somebody else's panel and kick us to the curb, you could do that. It would break our hearts, but you could do that. In fact, we sell an adapter for it.
Yeah.
So we facilitate it.
So
ours are better.
Our panels are good. They're good panels. Okay, so Eunice. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, Eunice says she chose the Storm for durability. If durability is important, you will love the Storm.
Absolutely. Or the Ascent.
Or the Ascent. Yeah. Okay, so Eric has asked this question, and several other people. Sorry if I don't mention all your names, but several people have asked. I think they probably have maybe some Goal Zero panels, or so they have panels with Anderson connectors on them. Is there a way for them to use that with the Flex system? And I actually do not know the answer to that.
Yes, we do offer custom cables. So if you have a different connector type that's not MC4, you can absolutely call us. We'll help you out. We'll make a cable. We're not using it as a big profit center. It's not a big focus for us. But if you have a connector out there that's not MC4, not Nutric, not EC8, which are all connectors that we do service, absolutely give our support team a call. We can make a custom cable for you to get that done.
Okay, that is great, and it's just interesting. Like, we get new questions that we haven't thought of before every time we do one of these. Keep thinking we're gonna like get to the point where we've answered all the questions. But so Oleg Karin, he asked a question earlier. Thanks for asking another one, Oleg. Could you please talk more about the home integration switch? Is it something like several three-way switches? I should have brought that big thing we built, but the home integration switch is basically allows you to connect into your house. You don't need to bring the whole big thing in. It's too heavy.
Our cameraman was gonna go grab it.
The man, he was gonna like sneak through and go get it. Thanks, man. But basically, it allows you to power. This one has 4 circuits. Ours has 4 circuits on it, correct?
Yes,
I think.
Yeah.
And basically, you can hook it into your house, and you can power 4 selected circuits in your house with your Flex system.
Or Apex.
Or Apex.
Or Kodiak,
yes.
if you're a historical customer.
True. Good point.
The way that the generator switch works is there's 3 positions on it. So on the leftmost, I don't know how, it's not really left and right, it's more of like an up and down situation. But in one position, that switch is giving you power from the grid to those 4 selected circuits. In the middle position, that's going to be neutral, where it's a full disconnect, and it ensures that the grid doesn't backfeed to your generator, which in this case would be the Flex, hopefully. And then in the rightmost position, or the farther other position, that gives you power to those circuits from your generator. So it's simply a three position generator switch that will do 4 of your favorite circuits with a constant run maximum of about 1500 watts, which is the same that our inverter is rated for continuously.
Okay. So Esver Camacho is asking, so adding superchargers lets you add 400 watts of input power for each one. Actually, adding a supercharger lets you add 2 strings of up to 400 watts. So total of 800 watts. Between the supercharger and your power console, up to 1200 watts. Each of 3 strings of up to 90 volts input. Okay. Should we stop the pain?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So several of you who have been observant have been looking behind Jared's right shoulder. That is the Flex 1500. It's here, and it's actually been powering our live stream this entire time. So we have, let's see, Jared or Cody, do we have this camera ready to go? See, I guess we're on a bit of a lag. Okay, so here we go. Try not to get everybody sick. There's the Flex 1500 plugged in. It's running our live stream. You can see everything that you can see on our website is right here, and you can see here. I'm going to try to do this without being too janky or jumpy. That we are running it over to. There's Cody. That's the man. We love Cody. He's so smart. And there we go to the computer, the monitor, everything that we're running on. That little blue cord over there, the Ethernet. And it's here. We're having a lot of fun with it. Jared, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Nope. I'm so excited that it's here.
Yeah.
So it is powering our live stream, so you can see that it's real, that it's working. It's awesome. We're excited about it. It's meeting our expectations so far.
Yep.
So I think we're both thrilled with that. We will be coming out with more videos coming forward about essentially showcasing its abilities.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a lot of people that want to see it doing all kinds of different things. We have videos forthcoming that illustrate that.
Yeah.
So watch for those.
There's just too many to do in one live stream, and yeah. So, all right, we are jumping over an hour. So why don't we each pick one question to do, and then we'll probably need to call it a night.
Yeah, there's a couple I want to hit just real rapid fire.
Good.
One of the questions we've received a lot of.
I'm sorry.
What happened?
Peter Clark just said Jared needs to get those legs into the sun. That was my fault. Bad camera work.
Well, he's not wrong. That's the most painful part about it.
We're gonna work on that. We're gonna go out and ride some side by side tonight.
Yeah. Hey, I'll work on that. Next live stream, I will have spray tan on my legs, and if you want to see it, I'll show you.
We'll have Donald Trump legs, man.
Yeah, we'll get some orange legs going on. Okay. So back to the question that I was actually gonna address.
Totally derailed.
Before getting derailed there. That was awesome, by the way. Okay. Is the deposit refundable if I change my mind or something comes up before the product ships? Absolutely, 100%.
Good question.
If you decide to pre-order one of these products, something changes financially for you, or you change your mind, the deposit, it's 100% refundable before the product ships. No problem there at all. We get that question all the time. So yeah, absolutely, it's risk-free. All right. The other question that I was going to answer was, let's see.
Oh yeah, can I throw one in here
Go
really
for
quick
it,
while
yeah.
you look? Raul Cast, great question. Raul, I'm going to send you a Basecamp light. Will you sell the Flex 1500 power console and the Flex DC power console separately in the future if you buy one and need to switch to the other? Example, using outlets for around the house and for using DC power for RV power use. I love that question, and absolutely yes. And that is a great use case. That's why a modular system is the future. I just personally, I believe that the all-in-one boxes are just, there's lots of good products. We were in that business for years, and we made great all-in-one boxes, but the modular system allows you to adapt to different uses. And so yes, get another power console for using.
I'm just showing size comparison for another customer. Keep going.
Oh yeah.
Somebody wanted me to stand next to it.
Yeah. Oh, good idea.
I'm standing next to it.
And so yeah, have it. It's a great idea to have a Flex DC for RV use. I'm going to have that for my RV, and then it's also really good to have a Flex 1500 for those days when the power goes out and you want to run your, you want to keep your refrigerator going and your freezer going. I'm going to show those actual usages in my own home. So, great question. Would you add anything to that?
No. One of the other questions I was going to answer, Martin, this just came in on YouTube. This is a really good question. He said, no, sorry. I already answered that one. Martin, I said next to it, you saw the comparison. My white legs couldn't reach up there to give you a relative size of chicken white leg to Flex. Sorry. But hopefully my torso was sufficient. Okay, so Kurt asked, I read in your literature Flex is 90 volts and unlimited amps, yet you say only 400 watts. Why is that? It's a really good question. So when we're talking about parallel wiring configurations, there's really no limit on the number of on the solar input that goes to the Flex, whether that's going to be the power console itself or the MPPT supercharger. No difference there at all. With the voltage, that's really where your maximum lies. It's a 90 volt input maximum on the supercharger and the power console itself. That's really the biggest constraint. When it comes down to wattage, if it's in parallel, it doesn't matter. What it's going to do is maintain that charge rate. So we're talking about 400 watts. That's going to be the charge rate from the MPPT charge controller to the battery itself. You could put 800, 900 watts of panels on there, and it's going to charge from that array to the charge controller, and then from that charge controller to the battery at about a 400 watt rate. So there's no input maximum, but the charge controller itself will only maintain about a 400 watt charge rate. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay. Ricky is saying he's having a hard time deciding on Apex kit, and I think he means probably a Lynx kit versus a Storm kit. Can you give me scenarios where one would be better than the other?
On a Lynx kit versus a Storm kit?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're the kind of person that wants to use this product primarily for recreational use and you don't want to have a larger, slightly more ungainly panel, I would say the Lynx is going to be better. You can stack 4 of those panels in the size of one solar storm or storm panel. So the thickness is going to be substantially less in the Lynx. It's a lot lighter weight. It's about half the weight. So if you're the type that wants to use it, off-grid camping, something like that, or just make it easier to carry around or store, that's where the Lynx really shines. If you're looking for a permanent mount or just to try to maximize your dollar in terms of solar that you can purchase for the dollar, I would steer you towards the Storm. So
Okay.
just a difference in approach.
All right. Ron is saying, talk about AC. Can I run DC pump and AC appliances in my tiny house at the same time?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. If that's the same... Oh, Ricky was saying Ascent, not Lynx, I bet. I think he was saying Ascent and Solar Storm. Choosing between those two.
I can do that really quick.
A little bit different,
Yeah, a little bit different. The Ascent panel folds in half. It comes down to about the same surface area as the Storm panel is when it's completely unfolded and set up with its kickstand. The Ascent panel is just a little bit more compact when it comes to toting it around places. It's got that kickstand on it that makes it nice. And because it's a series wired panel, putting 4 of those panels in series is going to give you the most efficient charge possible for our charge controller.
Okay. Man, I gotta buy you lunch or something because because my camera worked. These guys will not leave you alone.
Are they roasting me on Facebook? I'm on YouTube and I don't see it. People are on YouTube are nice.
Yeah, that's right. Facebook meanies. Okay. Man, you guys, I just want to say, if we didn't get your questions, we are going to go through these and we will have another live stream at a future date. I just want to say it's been so fun, so rewarding to get on here and interact with you guys. I feel like we're making friends every time, and well, I'll let you finish this time, Jared. I finished last time, but I just want to say thank you for being supporters, for coming on here, asking great questions. The reason we do this is we want to connect with you and we want to understand what you need when it comes to portable power, and you're giving us that every time we get on here. So this has just been awesome. We appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, to echo what he said, we understand that when you're in a pre-order such as this, it's a vote of confidence for us when you do put down a deposit for our pre-ordered Flex system. We really appreciate that. We're a East Idaho based company. Our whole team here is very appreciative of it. It keeps the lights on, it keeps us rolling, and we're really excited to bring the Flex to you.
And
so
Cody
thanks so
too.
much.
Thanks, guys. Take care.